You may want to get closer up to read. I don't know how easily the writing's going to be. The writing on the wall is going to be, how easy it's going to be to read. But cool. And we're all good. Live stream looks good? Okay, great. Welcome, live stream world. So welcome everyone to the Town Hall, Q1, 2015. Thanks for coming out tonight, and anybody that's watching recording or anything like that. So the point of these town hall meetings is a point for us to do a full download of what's happening here, give an update. It also gives me a lot of homework to do. I've been having to hustle to gather everything together in the same way that Ryan and I have to hustle to get the mailers together to check the schedule, check in with people. Is this event actually happening or not? All of those different things to bring everything into alignment such that we can send an email out. These town hall meetings are very similar in that way. We have to really see, it's like, okay, what did happen in the past few months? And what's coming forward? And so that we can tell it to as many people as possible, so that in many ways we don't have to repeat ourselves about who we are and what we're doing going forward. So in that light, it's not just a monologue. I want it to be a dialogue. So as questions or concerns or anything come up, I want you to speak up for yourself, raise your hand. Either you'll get the microphone if you want to be heard on the live stream, or you can just interrupt me and start talking, and I may repeat for you. And such. So that being said, can I just get a couple people to say anything that they are looking forward to hearing or would like to get out of tonight or would like to hear updated? Yeah.
Hey, Lotus.
Yay. I can only stay for the first 30 minutes, so.
Okay.
I'm Lotus, everyone, and I was here when the latest evolution began, and then I had to take a pause. And I'm back, and I'm actually starting a group here next Wednesday night from 6 to 7:45 called the Co-Creators Lab.
Yeah.
And it's basically inspired by circling practice, except that we're actually applying it to what people want to create in their lives in the world. And it didn't get on your email blast today, so I just wanted to make sure that the community knows, and it's free for members, $10 for drop-in, suggested donation, and it's really incredible and beautiful and building off of what this community is already doing. And I'm calling it a lab because it's in development still. So it's not like a final product. And I really feel like this community is a really important kind of early adopter field to help take it to the next level and get feedback. So I'm excited about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lotus. Anybody else would like to hear about anything in particular? Julian, yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm interested in helping. I think we talked a little bit about it, but bringing meditation practice back to the space.
Yeah.
And I'd love to put myself out there as someone who could help with that.
Available to participate.
Available.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. This is great. So a couple examples. One of a generator contributor. Of kind of using this blank canvas to bring in your visions and support the community and that, and then also someone who's wanting to serve, a space that might or might not already be happening and contribute and get more that way. So thank you for that. And you're going to want to get to know this guy, Brian, right here. But that's part of my presentation. We'll talk more about that soon. So I have a lot to give updates about, so I'm just going to jump right in, if that's okay with you guys. And I'm going to use my fancy new toys here. Okay, so as you can tell, we're still here. Lotus, you were speaking of kind of you said the newer evolution, the latest evolution. I think what you meant was when we came in 2012 and took over, and I was really starting to get, having to do the diligence of do we actually want to do this again? do we actually want to go through all of that another time? And then when I realized that it would be impossible to go through that again, and I started thinking about what we could actually go through, I started getting really excited, and I came out of a depression, and my life started to unfold in some really great ways. And so I'm excited that we're still here. So yeah, we re-signed the lease. One of the terms of the lease, which is worth mentioning, is that we are officially a public facility. And with the last term, we're a rental facility besides offering our own programming. And we held it in a way of saying it's like, well, the events that happen here are private events. And that's a way to, keep clean with the relationship with the city and everything like that. But things started to get confusing with the kinds of programming we would allow for our rentals versus not. And so we just decided to, make a clean slate and say that we are a public facility, meaning that the laws that apply to a public building apply here. I think the most notable example of that is no nudity anymore at the Integral Center. So spread the word. Keep your pants on. No, I mean, jokes aside, there's so much more I'm just not going to say about that. So we're public. No. Does that make sense? Okay, good. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I'll say more. And alongside with our renewing rental agreements, we've also renewed our lease with Marco Lam and the Mandala Clinic and the clinicians that offer here, along with lots of new programming collaborations that Marco and his clinicians are going to be offering. So that's cool. So one of the frames that I've been holding a lot lately, and in many ways holding the transition between this past quarter into this one, is the notion of how the Integral Center is less of a polished product and more of an experiment. An experiment in demonstrating what's possible with an organizing and developing integral community. I would be the last person, I think, to say that this is an integral center, that we are like the role model of integral expression. But I would say that integral is our intention. Like, that's what we are calling in, so to speak. That's what we are holding space for, is for integral consciousness to foster and to express here. But because that's not here on Earth right now, because there's only very little integral consciousness, it's not just going to be something that you can just choose to start doing. We actually have to figure that out and figure out what integral in community looks like and feels like. And I feel like that's what we've been getting to do over the past 3 years. And, so does that make sense that, okay, good. So a lot of the frames and a lot of what we work with here is in many ways an experiment in the direction of what are the results that are yielding with what we try.
What's the deal with that picture?
Yeah, okay, thank you. So the reason I chose that picture is one of our parties, the convergence parties we do here, which are a great example of this kind of experiment of where we see who wants to contribute in the community they come in. Well, Bryce Whittam, our resident artist, a lot of the work that you see, all of the work in this room is Bryce's, except the logo. We decided to buy big blank canvases and put them on the wall with paints by them for the party. And Bryce, for a few of them, put a little seed image, like he painted the logo in the middle of that one, and allowed people to, at the party, just to pick up paintbrushes and start going to town. And I thought it was a perfect metaphor for what the Integral Center is in general. Like, so much for the past few years has been just this big blank canvas. Hey, we got 14,000 square feet here in downtown Boulder. Who wants to do something? Go, And it kind of felt and looked like that, It was beautiful and colorful and kind of confusing and awkward in times, and so thanks for asking. So here was one of the things that happened that was not a conscious experiment, but allowed us to figure things out. The big flood that happened in early, what was that? Late 2013. Okay, getting my dates right. So one of my intentions for the process from then to now is the de-ghettoification of the Integral Center. So in all of the chaos and people experimenting on the blank canvas, it's been fun, it's been alive, it's been fertile, but it's not the thing I've been the most proud of in the world from an aesthetic standpoint. Oftentimes I walk in this room and have to desensitize myself to what it feels like to be in here, because otherwise my OCD will go crazy with, oh, the broken arm on the couch, or the fact that there's a bundle of cables that has been there for 2 years, or, things like that. And while that all, isn't really a big deal, it does start to kind of feel like a frat house in a way, and unfortunately, I think people walk into the space and they will treat the space the way that it feels. Nobody's gonna, unless they're really conscious in bringing that intention, are gonna take it upon themselves to unclutter those things. But now we are taking upon ourselves as the whole community and organizing a lot of efforts to make this place start looking good. And it has been starting to look good ever since the flood, when we bought lots of new furniture in the community lounge and remodeled the whole downstairs, and a lot more has been happening since then. I bought a new toy. That's part of my de-ghettoification of not having a projector with a loud buzzing fan and things like that. And so it's getting more sexy. Our friend Ken Chapin, who just moved to town, has been doing amazing reconstruction work. If you haven't taken a walk around the building lately, there's lots of little things, like the trim is being all redone, things where like door handles, like all the little things that you wouldn't normally think like this needs to be fixed, but actually starts to, it calculate into the way you feel being in here, especially those of us that are here a lot. We feel it a lot. And so he's been updating a lot of that, and it's starting to feel really good. And we've got a lot more to go, where we just got measurements today for new windows for the downstairs level, possibly up here as well. That's something that, Jeff Salzman, the owner, really cares about. We're going to replace the floor in the cafe, that linoleum. We got some engineered flooring samples. We just pulled the trigger on that. We're going to replace the locks and make that more secure. So once again, all sorts of little upgrades that I think are going to go a long way. And we're going to start taking things like off of just a few people managing everything and start to delegate responsibility to, because that's one thing that we do have, is we have people. We have lots of people in this community who care about this place. And, with a blank canvas, it's kind of hard for the people in the community just to know what to do, when to come in and like how to help. Like Julian's saying, I want to help with meditation. Well, we have to meet you halfway. We can't just expect it. Well, we've done that a lot. Like Kimberly, we're like, well, take the meditation room, teach meditation classes. And you did. And like, it got the whole beautiful space for quite a while there. But without us meeting you more halfway to like be able to bring in more people, it's kind of all on your shoulders. And that's not a formula for more optimal participation. So that's one of the things that we're working on more now, is how can we actually synergize with the organization, with all the people in it, and set up structures that can lead toward more optimal expression. Does that make sense? Awesome. All these things I'll talk about more. So taking a look at just what happened in the first quarter, in the last few months, one of the big things that I did was I updated our email newsletter. Anybody notice that my emails look different? Yeah, maybe. So what I did is I started sending emails instead of from the Integral Center. I started sending them from Robert. I made them more personal. And instead of having them as just a laundry list of the schedule, which is very useful information, it's not that useful if you don't have time to come here, or if you don't live in Boulder. And there's a lot of people who don't live in Boulder that really care about what we're up to. So I changed the email newsletter structure so that I'm actually sending content. I'm actually sending value about what we care about here. As much as I can. I haven't promised to do it every week, but as often as every week. So that's been actually going really well. I've been getting lots of good feedback from people around the world saying they're really stoked about what we're up to here in Boulder, and they're glad that they get to be in touch, and they want to come out and visit us. And that's what people do that a lot. Also, the same thing has been going with the Facebook page. I've been putting a lot of energy into getting that engagement going more and just rethinking. It's like, okay, what is the essence of who we are as the Integral Center, and how can we deliver content that reflects that? And so I make a post to the Facebook page, at least once a day, if not 3 times a day, to keeping people up to date about what's happening in the world from the perspective of the things that we care about. I did this event called Transformational Conversations. Did anybody come to that? Is anybody here? Okay, cool. Why I'm bringing this up was it was an experiment in doing a different kind of marketing and announcement for workshops. And the results were really great in that we had 80 people show up for that event, 50 of whom had never been here before. And yeah, I'm glad there's some grins and nods about that, because that was something I haven't been able to pull off before, and it was only just by learning a few marketing tips and tricks and experimenting with them that I now know how to do that. And now I have a lot more confidence when it comes to local events of how to ring the bell and how to bring people in. We did this program called The List, which we've done several years now, but it was particularly a potent group this year, particularly just for me, just because I've lost over 15 pounds and counting. I've brought down my previous debt down to like over 90% paid off of my debt. I've cleaned up my whole house, and I think that's been a big part of just cleaning up everything in my life that like reverberates into this building. Because we all know that the Integral Center is really the Robert show, so might as well be explicit about that. But I'm just really excited to give credit to the LIST program, and that we're going to be doing that every year. So keep up to date about that. And oh yeah, I also launched a new podcast called Enactment, and this is some of the content that I've been sending out in my emails, our interviews with some really amazing teachers and friends of mine. I did one with Dustin DePerna, Terry Patton, Dr. Keith Witt. I just published an interview with Decker and Ken Wilbur this morning. And I've got a whole lot of other great teachers lined up that I'm going to be sharing out. And once again, that's feeding not only our local audience, but also our global audience with the things that we care about, which, lo and behold, that isn't being talked about enough. Okay. This is one of the things I'm really excited about. Who doesn't know about this new evolution that's happening here? Okay, great. So the Integral Center's responsibility to Boulder and beyond, the Philosophers salon. So first, let me just talk about Boulder. Forbes magazine ranked Boulder the smartest city in the country. And it's in many ways of measuring, who knows how accurate these things, but it's considered to have more PhDs per capita than any other town in the country. But suffice it to say that Boulder has incredible intellectual capital. There's are amazing thinkers in this town, and I think it goes unnoticed for a lot of people. A lot of people that live here, that have lived here for years, wouldn't know the amount of amazing thinking and worldviews that's cultivated here. And if anywhere should be hosting that, I think it should be Boulder. I have the word scenius there. Brian Eno coined this term scenius as, in short, meaning the scene for genius. And it's a phenomena that he was referring to of all these places throughout history that were cultural locations where geniuses flourished by virtue of the fact that there was cultural interaction happening there. And that's always been my vision for the Integral Center, is that it'd be a home for scenius, for people that have the capacities for truly great expression, to have those capacities enabled by being with each other. And an example of that are the French salons of the 17th and 18th centuries, which many scholars consider instrumental in the Enlightenment, in the awakening of the rational mind, were these amazing thinkers coming together and working with each other and doing that. So that's our intention with the Philosophers Salon. Also, what this does is giving us a shared theoretical context for the work that we do here at the Integral Center. One of the challenges for me with the Integral Center has been that unless we define what the Integral Center is, everybody's going to come up with their own definition of it. People are going to say, oh, integral, that means the place that we do everything. Or integral, that means it's the Ken Wilber place. Or integral, that means the place where we do measuring the area under a curve. But the fact of the matter is, what that does is contributes to the chaos on the canvas, and which once again can be colorful and fun, but doesn't really allow us to yoke our higher expressions. But as we get to start really understanding what integral philosophy means, the work that's been done there, we can start to align our theories and create a philosophical scaffolding for the work that we do here, which allows, whether it's the relational work, whether it's embodiment work, whether it's spiritual work, to be that much more potent. It's an essential part of spiritual cross-training, is our philosophical reindoctrination. And the world needs us, that there are suffering happening in the world, which us in Boulder don't really have to feel that much, right? I mean, we can watch the news if we want to torture ourselves, but the fact of the matter is that the world is not like Boulder. And as Einstein says, the problems created at one level require solutions from a higher level of consciousness. And that's not a woo-woo concept. That's a real thing. And so in many ways, I think we have a major responsibility to bring together our virtues and our values and our ideas and apply them towards, at least in our own understanding of the problems that are happening in the world, and start to generate solutions. And that's very possible. For one thing, we have a partnership with the Institute for Cultural Evolution. Who knows the ICE, the Institute for Cultural Evolution? A little bit? Okay, good. It's a new think tank that's, I'll just go ahead and get these guys out here. So these guys, Steve McIntosh and Michael Zimmerman, have created. Steve did one of the seminars we did in the past few months, an introduction to integral consciousness, and he's been an amazing contributor to the integral field for a long time. But and Michael Zimmerman has been a philosophy professor at University of Colorado, CU, here for the past 20 years, and I mean, these are the sleeping giants that I speak of that we have here in Boulder, and Michael's just like one of these humble guys that you'd never know has this much credibility, but he's considered by some to be like the foremost Heideggerian philosopher in the world. And we have these guys, and they got together with several others, Elizabeth DeBold and Carter Phipps, and started the Institute for Cultural Evolution as an activist think tank to apply ideas to solving some of the world's problems. And specifically, some of the campaigns that they've started are one on depolarizing politics, so actually bringing in the right kind of frames to get the left and the right to understand each other better and to understand, what that means. Michael Zimmerman has written the quintessential book on climate change. Well, he wrote the book on integral ecology, but the integral frameworks on climate change he's the guy on that one. So that's one of their campaigns, is helping people really understand climate change. And then one of their latest campaigns is on Islamic reform, is understanding Islam better and understanding how we can be in relationship with what's happening there. And they're hosting a big event here on April 23rd, Cultural Challenges for Emerging Islamic Modernism, where they're bringing in scholars, Islamic scholars from CU, doing a panel discussion. We're going to live stream that. I'm very excited about that. Couldn't come at a better time. And the Philosopher's Salon is going to be a weekly series here every Thursday night. We're going to have one of these philosophers from our backyard coming in and doing a download on whatever topic they choose, and then holding, loosely facilitated group discussion, so that those of us in the community and beyond that are interested in having these kinds of conversation can can be in a context of where the best of that is happening. The first one of those starts April 9th. Michael Zimmerman's going to do a thing on Hegel. New Age started with Hegel. So come for that. Also, Jeff Salzman. Square takes the circle on that one. Jeff is going to be showing up as always. If you don't know Jeff, please come and see him speak. He owns the building, and he's been one of the most important contributors to the integral movement. All right, moving right along. So we do this other thing here, besides philosophizing, circling. Hopefully, y'all know that circling happens here, right? That's something we haven't been able to shut up about. But that's a good thing. That's the thing that's really set us apart in the integral enterprise, which there is such a thing. There are lots of other integral businesses out there, and people trying to engage the world with these ideas. We've been able to make our mark in a very distinct way with relational practice, with authentic relating, specifically with our form, circling. And, with this past quarter, the Aletheia that happened in February, that was the 15th Aletheia that's happened in this building, the 18th total Aletheia that's happened, and the 7th T3, our 6-month Train the Trainer program, that is in its 6th month right now. A lot of people have been going through this practice, and it's been catching a lot of attention, and I like that. Let's see what else I can say about that. So one thing that really makes us unique, also, we're not the only circling company out there. There's now at least a half a dozen other circling training companies in the world, which is a pretty amazing thing. But one thing this company has that the others don't, that I'm aware of, is we actually have a certification criteria for our circling facilitators, which on one hand is really weird. It's really confusing, considering circling is basically a meditation practice, and it's like saying, do meditation right, don't do it wrong. It's in some ways anathema of the practice that we have, that we're able to come up with a criteria for ways that it can be done better or worse. And that's true. We had to really start with just making stuff up and then start to develop that and evolve that. But to me, it is an amazing expression that we have certification as part of our training, because it's an essential part of development. For one thing, is the fact that development is a real thing. Evolution is actually happening, and so there are things that are better than other things in regards to certain contexts, and that's something that is often left out of the conversation when we're working with an evolutionary discourse, or working with evolutionary practices, specifically in the postmodern area, is that it's, and this is like circling at its heart, is that, everybody is unique and everybody is divine, and the practice is like, how can we feel the way in which, you go all the way down, and that, everybody is right. The core tenets of integral philosophy. Everyone is right. Every idea is right. Except for the fact that everybody's partial, too. Everybody's wrong as well. And so having a certification criteria for circling is us getting to actually represent and own the fact that people are wrong, too. And that, there are right ways and wrong ways to do things. And by setting up a certification process, we get to hold some status with the quality of the work that is happening in the world. That if you're, getting branded as certified by the Integral Center as a circling facilitator, that means something very serious to us. And it's not an easy process either. That Melody nods. It's not an easy process for the participants going through the process, and it's not an easy process for us as the course leaders in the organization holding it. Because what it would be a lot easier for us to just be like, yeah, you're certified, here's your certificate and your gold star. That's fun to say. What's not fun to say is your circle didn't pass the criteria for certification. And it's a big part of our training, as far as not just that, the course isn't just about certification, but that's a big part of the experience of being in the course. Is what is it like to be in a criteria where there's a passing and a failing. You know, it tends to bring up a lot for a lot of people. And so we use that as an opportunity for transformation of, you know, when we tell someone, hey, your circle did or did not pass the criteria, we then check in with what's that like? And that opens up that for a lot of people in the course, that's their process. That's their transformational crux for the whole course, is working with that notion. So anyway, our percentage of criteria of people who pass is about half of every cohort gets certified in circling. And I kind of brag about that. Now, we also work hard to, you know, have the developmental practice working as good as it can, so that I would love it if we had a very high percentage of people passing certification. But I'm actually very proud of the fact that we're willing to say no that well. Does that make sense? Awesome. Any questions? Once again, feel free to interrupt me and such as I cruise along. Yeah. Thanks, Josh. Another big thing is happening. We're doing our first advanced level T3 that's starting next month. This is required for all of our course leaders of our training. This is the first time we've ever done it, and it's going to do a lot. There's a lot of energy gathering around this. There's not a whole lot more I want to say about it, except to say that I'm very excited about it. I'm a participant in it. You're going to feel the impacts of it in the community to the degree that you're involved with the center. Circling Lab is an amazing experiment. Speaking of experiments, labs, that continues to go great. It's something we started right at the beginning, and Mondays for the public and Wednesdays for members only. And if you want to know where the community of the Integral Center is, it's at Circling Lab. Like, that's where the people, show up and do work with each other. And I really encourage you to check it out. And if you have something going on in your life, or like you're feeling a little off, try out bringing it into the community and being seen in the community that way, and see what that's like. We also have men's and women's circling. I'll speak more about that soon. Of course, we have our Authentic Relating game nights every other Tuesday night. Melody's leading the one this coming Tuesday night. So that'll be exciting. Please come, and those are great ways, once again, to see the community in play. And then we also we've started doing a members-only kind of organic circling, or carpet work, as we call it, where it's, just coming together in the community and circling up as desired. We have experimented with private circling groups where it's like, okay, 8 weeks, it's just this group together. And that has a certain potency to it that the other kinds of circling experiments don't have. Ryu, who runs the Monday Circling Labs, he's been doing that the most lately. I'm just curious, who would be interested in us offering more of those, if you think of your friends and things like that? Okay, good data, thank you. And just getting the word out, we're experimenting with more marketing and ways to let people know about the potency of this work. So we've got some of our course leaders editing, new articles that'll be publishing out. And so be on the lookout for those. And if you want more people to know about it, that's a great way to go. Speaking of that, we're doing a teleseminar on this coming Monday. Jess Nickel and I are going to host we're basically going to be turbo circling people on the phone for a couple hours. So if there's anybody that you've kind of been wanting to introduce to circling, that can be a nice, safe way to introduce them. Say, just call into this line and listen to these guys do it, and until we unmute them and start circling them randomly, which we plan to do. Any questions? Anything coming up that you would like to proactively reveal? Okay, then I'll keep cruising along. The Authentic Man program. Put this nice lumper sexual up here to represent the dignity of an authentic man. The Authentic Man program, for those of you who don't know, is the oldest business that we have. Over 10 years now we've been putting on this work. It's where circling came from, of but originally started as men's work of helping guys have better relationships. And that continues today with Casey Capshaw at the helm, directing those programs. The 3-day intensive is kind of the flagship, and with a whole host of products. But that just keeps getting better, so it's worth mentioning. We do have a weekly, sorry for the small text, we do have a weekly drop-in men's circle on Monday night. It's a great way, especially for guys that aren't into personal development work, but are willing to like do something extra because their life hurts enough. That's a great place to send them. It's led by this handsome lumbersexual. That's Brian Larson. I gotta pick on him a little bit for posting that on Facebook yesterday. But he's holding down that men's group, and it's a great scene. We've done a lot of overhauling of the website. There's now like the members of the inner circle, has been redone, and all the various content of the people who are members of the inner circle. We have a global group on there. A lot of people, a lot of guys who've been taking advantage of this for a long time. Melody was on the call for that. We're now we do these monthly calls for the AMP Inner Circle, and now we're bringing the AMP women along for that, and which is really exciting. For those who don't know what I mean when I say the AMP women, that's one of the things that sets AMP apart as far as men's work, is that we bring in amazing AMP women facilitators to work with the guys and give them direct feedback. Who are AMP women here? Yeah. So if you have any questions about that, ask these awesome ladies. Yeah, here's some more just from the website. It's just looking really good, all the content that's out there and such. I'm just really proud of all the work that Casey and Dan have been doing to do this. Another thing about it is for all the guys that are Integral Center members, it's now included to all the AMP Inner Circle. It comes with Integral Center membership. So that's cool. Oh yeah, women, too. A lot of people have been asking about, okay, well, what about the women's groups? Well, we've had them, and I'll get to that in a second. So I talked about the AMP women, and one of the big announcements in regards to the AMP women is that Jess Nickel has kind of taken on the lead role of organizing that. Because AMP is an older product, it's the politics and how all of that has been organized has gone over a long time. And Allison Schwabe-Lanier has been holding down that the organization for the women for a long time, has done an amazing job. But since she's not in Boulder, that makes things a little more challenging. And so the mantle has been passed over to Jess, and that's a very exciting thing. She's now putting in lots of new energy to have the women more received and actually have a path there for women to become AMP women. So that's cool. Yeah, as far as women's groups, we've had them historically over the past few years. There's been at least 4 iterations of women leaders in the community coming together and organizing a women's group. And for the various reasons of why all the things that we try here have varying lengths of sustainability. They're not here anymore. But we're doing that again. Those of y'all that know Sujana, who works here and helps us out with a lot of things, is also our Alethea course leader and enrollment director. She has been leading her Living Realized groups for a long time, and she's now going to be hosting those here as our women's group. And there's a launch event for that this next Thursday, the 3rd. So please, Friday, thank you. Words. So please, if you're a woman, come to that, or tell women in your life that that's happening, because that's going to be an opportunity to really kickstart off some deeper work for the women in the center. Does that feel good? Is that good? Okay. Thank you. Good. Cruising right along. Meditation. Now, this is really important to me when, in regards to the development work that can happen here in an evolutionary community. We've focused primarily a lot of our energy on relational practice, on relational development. That's who we are. That's what the Integral Center is known for, through circling and through the authentic relating practices. And that's great because a lot of people might not be interested in a practice like meditation, or it's just a little too much or something like that. But circling can meet them where they're at, and also creates benefits directly kind of where they're hurting the most in their relationships. But as far as I understand things, like when we're really ready to go deeper and make some deeper progress with our own personal development and evolution, it starts with our relationship with ourself. And the royal road to transformation, as it's been called, is meditation. And the Dragonheart Sangha has held meditation here for the past 3 years, and recently just took a break to kind of have its own identity check in and see what was best for it. And now we've been, in conversation and courting them back in, and now they are coming back in. And Brian Turner is their chief representative here. And I couldn't be more excited that they're going to be coming back to host the morning meditation practice again every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8:15. Which is a great place. It's open to anybody. There's 2 sits in there. If you come at 7, it's a 35-minute sit, and then walking meditation in which you can leave or come in at that time and then have another 30-minute sit after that. So I'm thrilled that they're coming back in to host that Zen meditation practice. And we're also experimenting with bringing in some evening meditation sessions as well. So that's going to start with Thursdays starting April 23rd. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited, Kimberly, to see how you can weave in there. I'm very interested to have the deeper practices held in held in the way they need to be held, sacredly and with reverence. And that the Dragonheart Sangha is taking responsibility for holding the meditation room as the cornerstone foundation of the building, of the expression of the building. I don't know if any of those words make sense, but I'm doing my best. Hopefully the transmission speaks louder than me. We'll see about that. And actually, I think this is the thing I'm most excited about in this. This is something I've been wanting to have happen for years now. But part of one of the Zen practice containers is Zazenkai, which is a day-long or a half-day-long meditation retreat. One of my meditation teachers, Shinzen Young, says, you can have a daily practice, but you need to have a retreat periodically to have your pipes cleaned, to get reoriented into the practice. And half-day or day-long retreats work really effectively to do that. And they also can work really well as a way to introduce people in your life to a practice like this. Of just say, instead of just like, check out a morning practice, that's great, but come to a half-day retreat where you can actually feel the benefits of what happens when you orient yourself in this way. So the Dragonheart Sangha, along with some of the other meditation leads in town, are going to contribute to make sure we have one of these a month. That I feel great about. So we have one of those scheduled for Sunday, April 26th. And then I think the next one is May 23rd, Saturday, where Diane Musho Hamilton Sensei is going to be in town leading that one. That's how I feel about that. Everybody doing good? Do we need like a water break or a high five or something? Feeling okay? Okay, good. We got a new website. That's pretty cool. Actually, let me see if I can do this without breaking things. Oh yeah, here it is. It's going to be, it's launching, this isn't the image, it's going to be here, but it's launching next week, Monday, actually. So this is going to be replacing our website. I'm very excited about the work that Erica and Jason Lang have put together to make this happen. And it's super sexy, and is making us look good. The de-ghettoification of the Integral Center continues. We roll forward. So be on the lookout for that. Yay. Okay. I also need your help with things. We were talking before about how the organization needs to meet you as community members halfway so that we're not just giving you a blank canvas and expecting you to come up with everything. And so this is where we're going to be doing some deeper experiments this coming quarter, starting in April, with community member roles, more explicit contexts for individuals in the community to serve more directly. This, I think, has kind of untold potential benefits. For one thing, we're going to have an aesthetics manager. Aaron Needham is stepping into that position for the 3 months of quarter two, of where we've already done a couple tours around the building of just all of the things that drive me crazy. Like the piles of things in the corner that nobody's taking responsibility for. The fact that there's no forks in the kitchen, ever. Even if you buy a whole pile of forks, they're gone. That's one of those things, like those standing lamps that are around here sometimes? Have you ever noticed those things that you can straighten them and then you turn around and then look back and they're crooked again? I don't know how they designed those to do that, but it's really cool. But anyway, she, this role, the aesthetics role, that's going to be her job, is to put energy in that direction. She has a budget. She has full green light to make this place look good. Good God, I'm so happy about this. This is one we've experimented with in the past, but this is where I still haven't found the person for this. And so if you know anybody or are interested, I want a philanthropy director, a community service director. This person's responsibility is going to be organizing projects for the Integral Center community members to give service to the town. We already have a number of projects lined up. What we've done in the past, we've done clothing drives and clothing swaps, where we set up an event and said, hey, bring all the stuff that you want to get rid of your closet. Instead of taking it to Savers or whatever, bring it here, and then we all kind of have a clothing swap party, and then everything that's not claimed, then we all just throw in a truck and send it over to Goodwill or Savers or Salvation Army, of one of those. And it's a party too. And the cool thing about that is I see my clothes walking around in the community. It's so much better than having to deal with the pain of letting go of a piece of clothes, is to know that it won't go that far from me. So that's one community service. That's something I want happening more here. Also, I've been in contact with a couple farms, Ravane and Indigo's farm, and Marcus McCauley's farm, and they have work for us ready to go, so that we can organize a date where a team of folks in the community that want to go can go hang out and get their hands dirty and do some real good work, and then get fed food and fun stuff that I think all of us want to have happening in our lives more. An organization like the Integral Center can help facilitate that to happen if we're facilitating making that happen. Great to see you. Is that cool? Does that sound like stuff that people like? Yeah, good. So be on the lookout for that. If that's you, let me know. Actually, Ryan is going to be the person to check in with about this whole context. But put the word out, or let us know if you want any of these. We are looking for AV help. Stephen Morris has been helping us out, and he may be the audiovisual guru for quarter two, but we're going to solidify that. But if you're interested in geeking out with live streams and microphones and such, that's available. Also, party planning. We do the Convergence parties. Who's been to Convergence here? Okay, awesome. So they are a cultural phenomena of Boulder that we are very proud of. And this last quarter is the first quarter that we haven't done one in quite a while now. And we did that kind of consciously, where it was just like Marco and I and Ryan were just like, we're just not going to, we could make it happen again ourselves, and it would be fun. But it's time for some more creative energy. I mean, so many people have participated in making these things happen, but it needs, each one needs to kind of have a champion, like someone who loves it more than anybody else, and then that inspires even more people to come in and play. So yeah, without a good team, you end up not loving it. And that really captures so much of what's been challenging about a place like the Integral Center, is that we all want this to work and we all want this to happen, but when it's the same person making it happen over and over and over again, it just doesn't have the same good feeling that it did when you first came in. So working more with the semester system that we talked about in the last town hall meeting, we talked about quadmesters. That was a little too much of a mouthful. So we're simplifying as just semesters, but more just going along with the quarter system, you know, with the seasons, keeping it seasonal. And so having a seasonal party with a seasonal party planner, that person can start 3 months ahead of time. They can start getting their ideas in there. And then it's just so much less of a load on the operating body. So if you are the party for Q2, let us know. And there's a handful of other roles that we're experimenting with. One that I've been looking for is someone whose explicit job is to gather feedback from community members. And that can be from me, that can be from Ryan, that can be from anybody in the community that participates here, of just like getting some qualitative and quantitative metrics for what it's like being here, so that it's not just an experiment in name, it's actually a real experiment where we're getting real data and setting up new experiments to generate better results with. And building security, tidiness, that could blend in with the aesthetics role some, but that's one of the things that is a bit of a tireless job here, is like, okay, is the building locked at night? Is, you know, because so many things can happen late in the night, so many things happen early in the morning. You know, so these are the areas of responsibility that we're looking for help with. So if there's one of these things that tends to call you or someone you know, or if you have another idea of a way you'd like to help, talk to Ryan. And the way we're setting up the community member roles is on this quarter basis. So it's from April 1st to the end of June. And that's your term, and that's the expected, you know, responsibility of it, as opposed to just forever, you know. And then we find the next person, and that could be you again, but at least you know that there's a duration of how long these things go. So that's something that we found generates a lot more effective sustainability. Oh yeah, event coordination setup, so blah blah blah. Okay, that. Okay. Pretty people on the TV. So we got a lot of stuff loaded up for Q2. I've already mentioned a lot of it, so I'm just going to roll it back out so you can see it all on one page, because it's pretty cool. We're going to continue doing game nights every other Tuesday, Circling Lab Mondays and Wednesdays. We're launching the Philosophers salon. We have a lot of the Thursdays in Q2 scheduled out, just like a couple holes left in that. The daily meditation and evening meditations are kicking up again in April with Zazen Kai every month. Yeah, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is we were having the Underground Dance Collaborative on Wednesday nights, and that has just started again under new supervision. It's called Ride the Dragon with Luke and Salem. And last night was the launch night of it, and man, they and their crew have been putting a lot of work into these Wednesday night dance parties. Look good, and they feel good, and they're contained well, and there's still an opportunity to be social and hang out with Ish at his Jun bar, but there's also like a closed container of dancing. So if you need to get your dance on, Wednesday nights at the Integral Center is a good place for that. We've got men's and women's groups coming online. Here's another experiment we did in first quarter, was having just, you know, those of you who have been to some of our trainings know that we do breath work, do a holotropic, well, it's like holotropic breath work. And Richard Furr is an amazing facilitator in town, and he is helping us have just a more of a regular outlet for breath work. You know, once a month is what we want. And so we've got that scheduled for April 7th. That's for members only. So come breathe. get your breathing on. We have Bentino every Monday night, non-dual, what is it called? Empowered non-dual stuff. No, like if y'all haven't come and seen Bentino, for one thing, there's a bit of a cultural phenomena happening. There's like a big crowd that shows up here every Monday evening, and he's got a real deal transmission going on, and I always walk away with something new, with something a little lighter, and it's a real treat that we get to host someone like him here. Thanks, Ryan, for all the work that you do to keep that relationship solid. And so come. Non-duality and empowered consciousness. Thank you. Yeah, did you have that too? Yeah, nice. Magda is starting a new book club. This is another thing that is just kind of like a no-brainer for an Integral Center and something I've wanted for a long time. But it's starting in April 7th, actually. Same night as the breathwork, but at 5 o'clock or such. The book she's starting with is Reinventing Organizations, which is an integral book on organizations. It's very appropriate, so I'm definitely going to be joining that. Please come on board for that if you have the time. And I think it'll be exciting to then go forward with a new book each time. There's such good stuff for us to work on. John has organized a new AA group, 12-step group, All Addictions Anonymous, which I think is also a bit of a no-brainer that it, for one thing, having the all addictions context, but we've had 12-step groups here in the past, and so this has just kicked up again. So I'm really glad that you came forward, the agency, to bring that together, and that there's a space for that kind of work. I think it goes really hand in hand with everything that we're doing here. So that's Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock? 7 to 8. Awesome, thank you. Jackie's been holding a business incubator for a while now, and that's been a similar experiment. Y'all have made pivots going along, but it's a great, we have this co-working facility downstairs, and y'all have been, setting up camp down there. So if you have a business or are interested in starting a business, this is a perfect place to go to be around other people that have that same drive, that are looking to get things going, and you can definitely have a lot more productivity and such. If anybody knows how to fix that Java thing with the new iOS update or the new Mac OS X update, please let me know. Seriously.
There was the guy in the picture with the axe. I think you could fix it.
True. All right, we'll call that option 1. So definitely check out the business incubator. Lotus, who was here earlier, mentioned the co-creators lab on Wednesdays. That's going to be interesting to see, how that goes, of applying circling to these other contexts. I like the way Lotus said it, where there's like we can be with how we're being, and then we can do, and then we can be, and then we can do, and see what emerges there. So that's cool. Bonsi has been holding a similar circling innovation called the Field of Awakening, which is more of like a less of a facilitated circle, more of just like, let's see what's here, let's see what wants to happen. And we've been experimenting with lots of contexts for more organic circling with carpet work and such. So is there one more down there? Oh my God, yes. Lightning talks. This is a context in which, there's so much amazing wealth in the members of this community of ideas, but it's in some ways not fair to expect one of you to just book a night. I mean, you can do this at any time. You can call up, email Ryan and just say like, hey, is there a room free at the center that I can book out to teach on my integral dog shaving technique? Like, you can totally do that. And we support you in like seeing if you can get an audience in that and enroll people. And that's a great way to use this community in this center. But it's a lot easier if we can all work together to bring in a crowd and then split up a night and teach about a whole lot of different things all at once. And not all of us are comfortable standing in front of a group of people teaching about something. And so this is also a great way to do that. So I'm scheduling another one of those in the next couple months. Does that sound interesting to y'all to have lightning talks? Okay, great. I love them too. Let's do more of them. So that's not even everything, not even close of what's happening in the next few months. We also have bodies and body practices at the center. So this is just a bit of a list of all the embodiment practices with Kundalini Yoga with Meredith on Monday mornings, Vital Embodiment with Nikki on Monday evenings, Yoga Undone with Erin Keeley Wednesday evenings. She does these group privates called Yoga Deconstruction on Thursday mornings. Kelly Larson is doing her Power Yin Yoga on Saturday mornings. Aditi has been holding down classes for the past few years, still doing meditation and has some new things up her sleeves. Keith Martin Smith, of course, has been holding down Kung Fu for longer than we've been here. And there's Sarah Bearden has been doing the women's Qigong class, which is getting really great attention. I'm hearing good things about that. And Melissa has been bringing the kids in and doing capoeira downstairs on Tuesday afternoons, which is really cool. Is there another? Yep. Qigong with Dave every Wednesday night. That's been happening for 3 years now. So, yep, we take care of the body as well. It's interesting, the kind of the quality of attention our embodiment classes get compared to our relational practices or other things. It's different. It's like the Integral Center isn't the first place that people think of when they want to go to a yoga class. And we can make up all sorts of ideas or hypothesize around why that is, but it's interesting just to be aware of that. And actually, a few of us are getting together to do a workshop to kind of inquire into that a little bit more, to see what's possible with embodiment classes here at the center. So if that's something that's on your mind and you have ideas about, let us know. But there's plenty of people who are committed to their embodiment practice and use this as their home for that, and we're very proud that that's happening here. So there's some other big things that are coming down the pipe that I'm actually not going to say, because it'll be a lot more fun just to announce them when they're here instead of telling you about them before they come. So just be aware that coming in the next few months, there's some big things happening with the Integral Center. Because all that other stuff was just little. And yeah, thanks for supporting us for all this time, for caring about this work. It speaks a lot about who you are, the fact that you're sitting in this room right now and that are interested in hearing about these things and participating in its evolution. So thank you for that. Yay. So anybody want to talk about anything before we break? You can hot seat me. You can ask me any question you want. Julian.
I just have a question about, like, as a member here, it seems like I'm kind of welcome to just come over anytime during the day. Like, but I've never really I don't really know that.
Yeah.
So can you speak to that?
That's a great question, Julian. I think that's a very interesting phenomena of where probably not as explicit as we could have been, but we've always kind of been like, well, yeah, if you're a member, you can come here and use the place. And we've been more explicit about it with the co-working. But I think what happens is you can come here and it'll be dark in a room, or there'll be nobody here, or often what happens is kind of you'll walk into a room and people might look at you in a certain way. And it's different from like walking into the hub, where it's just like, there's people working in here. So it's very okay for me to get work done in here. It's a different feeling coming in here. And once again, I think there's a lot of potential reasons for that. In a lot of ways, because we have this blank canvas thing coming on. We're still discovering ourselves as an identity. But let's make it explicit now in that, yeah, as a member here, you can feel free to use this building. That if nobody's in a room, like if the chapel room is empty, come in here and wrestle, or like hang out with some people, or like circle, or read, or get work done.
Awesome.
Mi casa e su casa.
Great. Thanks.
Jackie.
I just want to talk for a second about the incubator. So I'm having open discussion time 5 days a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 4, and Tuesday, Thursday from 5 to 6. We'll be sitting around talking about what it means to start a business with integral consciousness and how we can work together to create the new economy.
Yeah.
So, or how you quit your day job and do what you actually love for a living. So if you want to come talk about that, brainstorm ideas, find people to work with, that's the time we'll be there. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3, and Tuesday, Thursday at 5.
Yeah, and I will put a note in there just for some of the systemic evolution of like we're still working out the kinks in our weekly emails. So if y'all saw my email that went out this morning, I did my best to really kind of spell out all the things that are happening here. I mean, there are the things that are more sponsored by the Integral Center and some of the things that like we're curating and that you'll hear about us more than some of the things that come from the ground up, from the community up, are harder for us to track as much, and we don't take as much responsibility for marketing, but often is the case that they meet in between, like is the case of the incubator where I'm getting much more excited to collaborate with you to encourage energy in that direction. So so you know that. Also, the new website's going to help with understanding the schedule and seeing all that. Melody?
Hi. Let's do a standing up thing. First, I just want to say that I wasn't planning on coming, and I'm really glad that I did.
Yay.
Like getting to see all of this stuff laid out that we...
The big TV.
Yeah, the big TV. It's very sexy. That like so much of what we've talked about tonight I've been a part of, and to have spent so much time in this building and now to kind of get to see it all on a screen, it's like I feel proud and I feel inspired and like actually excited that I get to be here. So I'm sitting here with all of you and you. So there's that, and then also we have more Train the Trainer T3 happening. So as Robert mentioned, we're in month 6 of the 6-month course right now. But in May, a new cycle is starting, a new 6-month course is starting. I'm on the facilitation team, as is Robert, as are, I think, a couple maybe in this room. Maybe they left. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of us.
But I'm really excited about it. I love this course, and if any of you are interested or you have friends that are interested, I would love for you to come talk to me, grab me tonight, send me a message on Facebook. That's awesome. Similar with AMP, as you saw on the screen, I'm one of the AMP women, and we've got an AMP coming up in June. So if you are a man or you know men in your life that are interested in that program, please come talk to me.
Yeah, thanks, Melody. It's so important that it's like going through all this stuff. It's sometimes hard for me to track priorities, but yeah, there is this next T3 cohort coming together, second weekend of May, but also Aletheia, the first weekend of May. And basically, Aletheia is kind of like required attendance for participation in this community in a certain way. Like that's not like fully serious, but if to the degree that you want to know what's going on in the heart of the Integral Center, it starts there. And we're still alive for a reason, and that reason is Aletheia and the circling practice. So yeah, talk to Melody, talk to me, talk to any of us about getting on board for that. Thank you. Yeah? Yeah? Here we go.
I'm curious, I'm a little new to the community, and I didn't hear anything about money, and I'm just curious, what is the community view on the financial health of the organization?
We don't believe in money.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning an obvious feature. I like your question. You know, what is the community view on money? I would like to speak on behalf of the community and say that we think money is very important, and that actually it's a bit of an epidemic in a community like the Integral Center, in a place like Boulder, because it can be very easy to say that money isn't important. and that doesn't help a lot of people. That can be like a good, developmental leap to kind of let go of the shackles of, money rules our lives. But if we abdicate the responsibility to learn about financial intelligence, then we're, shackling ourselves. So we're really putting ourselves in a bad position. And I've definitely experienced that firsthand. And I think a place like the Integral Center, where there can be so many things going on, it has been very hard for us to be aligned around priorities that pay the bills. Just the fact that, in some ways Melody had to bring the reminder to the audience of what pays the bills, the circling programs do, is indicative of that. That being said, we've gotten so much better year by year. And financially, we've always been in the black since day one. We never had to get funding. We never had to go into debt. Because of the success of the circling trainings, we've been able to pay all the bills and break even for the past several years. For the first time in the years that we've been open, we are starting to be above just break even. And that's due to the success of this last T3 in the way that we structured it. And that is enabling new possibilities, such as the de-ghettoification and such. So how does that address your question?
Yeah, that answers it. Is it part of the regular community conversation? Because I didn't see it in this. That,
right.
We're above break even. Is it something people are aware of collectively?
We do talk about money in some of our programs. Like in the LIST program that I mentioned, it's a core component of where we get into each person's bank account and we do some, surgery and psychotherapy. And, so there's those. We bring in experts periodically, but that being said, we haven't had anybody in a while to do some financial intelligence upgrade. And I would like to make that happen soon, because that's important. I mentioned a workshop that we're doing in regards to the embodiment classes. Aaron Keeley and I are putting together a workshop that's on how to make money as a yoga teacher. And it's a series where it's going to start there, and then we'll do one on how to make money as a tabletop body worker, healer, then as a coach and a therapist, and because that's something that we see very missing from the kinds of trainings that are happening in this town. And it isn't rocket science. People have figured that out, and so we're just going to put those people together. Thank you very much. That's a great question. Yeah? Oh, there we go.
Hi, I am a brand spanking new member, and I was just wondering how much of all of this is included in membership and what might be charged over and above and what deals we get, that sort of.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about my personal finances.
Yeah. That's a great kind of feedback loop into this presentation. If I were to redo this presentation, I would love to make that more clear. Geez, the best I can say right now without going back all through it is say most of it, And, Ryan's working really hard to have that data more accurate. So why don't we make you a deal that with the launch of the new website next week, that picture will be clear of the things that I announced here. But the general rule is the stuff that we advertise in our mailing list, that stuff's free for members, unless it's like a deep dive training.
Yeah, so during the week, it's basically free for members mostly. And the weekends would be, the weekend intensives are a bigger ticket item, but members get a big discount.
Great question. Here, and then we'll go back to Julian.
Yeah, do you have some kind of accountability practice regarding finances and transparency? Because if I'm a member, I put in $50 or how much it is.
Right.
And how can I be sure that those finances are being dealt with responsibly, besides trust?
Great question. That's a great question. the way we're currently set up with that is that we run open book finance within the staff. I could go on some other time about the governance structure of how the company is set up. We're a holacracy. We're a for-purpose company that has the purpose of generating wealth for its community and fostering enable consciousness through these evolutionary practices. And so every week, our entire staff reports all of the financial metrics to the rest of the staff, including the amount of money in the bank account, all of the spending, all of the revenue for each of our product and revenue lines. So that money is reported weekly to the full-time staff. In practice, anybody who asks me what's going on with the finances of the company, I tell. There's not really anything that I hold back on that. That's about as good as I've got right now. If we wanted to evolve some sort of kind of like a shareholder, presentation, I mean, it could be something that's integrated into these town hall meetings, because I plan on doing these once a quarter. And if we wanted to do a financial report, I don't see any reason why we couldn't, except for the fact that it would just take a little more work to prepare.
Cool. Thanks.
But I do think that's important, what you say, that if you're giving us money, trust is great. And you'd probably trust us a lot more if you knew exactly where it was going.
Yeah, exactly. And just the communication. I mean, the staff might know, but do the ordinary member get any information around that? And that town hall meeting would be great, I think.
Yeah, one of the things and you can deliver the microphone, but one of the things I've really been wanting to do is to use some of the technology on the website to say, to let members, donors, contributors divert their funds to the directions that they're interested in. Like there'd be a list of options on things that are initiatives for the company, and that the people that are spending money can actually have some voting right in how that money gets spent.
It's like the question that came up in my mind was like, I know we're getting to the end of the time, but it's like curious, like if there are any kind of controversies that you want to share with us. I don't know how you want to answer that. Like in terms of what's happening here, what's going on.
Can you get him out of here? I mean, we definitely, I think that's one of the advantages of a business like this, is that we definitely are prone to life and human conflict happens here. I will give one answer just because it closes a loop that I opened earlier in the presentation when I was talking about the public facility, is that of the various teachers and practices that have rented the facility over the years, there have been more sexually oriented practices that have rented space here. And I think, that is one area of development that's really an important one, that as we, to develop our erotic intelligence, so that we can have better relationships, so that we can understand our drives more. It's something that I've benefited from greatly. And at the same time, certain fields can create more turbulence, in a field than others, and sexually oriented practices have done that for us. We've seen that where it just kicked up a lot of dust, and to the point where we realized that the sustainability of our structures as an organization was taking too much of a hit by hosting programs like that. And so by adopting kind of the public facility status allows that to be a lot easier. We can still bring in amazing teachers on erotic intelligence, but by not having the actual practices happening here makes it a lot easier. So there was controversy around that.
Yeah.
We caught flack. I caught a lot of flack from both directions. It was a really great dialectic that emerged.
Yeah, it seems like a good example.
Yeah. I'd love to have a more of a formal kind of a report on that. It'd be a fun, like a article to write or an interview or something like that to give like a full download
Yeah.
on what that whole experience was like.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Julian. All right. Why don't we close that out unless there's any last call? Cool. Well, thanks again. Feel free to stick around and hang out, and we'll see you very soon. Have a great night. And if anybody wants to watch a movie, I've got like 100 movies on here. So we can...
And there's the weekly schedule on the back table for next week, so grab it and check out what's going on.